All right. So this would be what, part 3 of the little series that I'm doing in terms of trying my best to explain the process of the body being essentially shut down or turned offline, or ship being turned offline, boarded by pathogens or energies, entities, aspects of the ego taking over, the light forces, the dark forces taking over the planet, our Earth, our bodies, our vessels, our ships, right? Uh, so yeah, so I during my some of my experiences of cleansing my vessel, going through the consciousness expansion of my being. So remember I mentioned before that uh, I traversed a lot of the more of the mental realms. So I was more in the mind aspect of things, uh, and in itself, I was expanding exponentially on those fronts, being able to do so much more in the mental space, in applying certain energies to actually have real world effects. So, and I still do it now. Like cloud busting, you could even check up aerokinesis and stuff like that. We have the ability to tap into certain realms of uh, our consciousness that allows for us to essentially tap into the software mechanisms of the reality of the holographic structure. So what I then started to go into is, or being led to go into, is the because a friend of mine asked me, yo, like, what happens to those who who uh who can't get to or who don't understand these levels of consciousness, who are actually those who are actually sick physically. And yeah, so then my consciousness actually started to show me more, because I was into it a little bit. I was going through the process of actually realizing that I'm not really to be eating certain foods anymore and stuff like that. But it started to accelerate even further, to the point of me getting allergies, or like developing certain, like my body completely started to reject certain foods almost overnight. And it kind of like got me into like doing a lot of research in the whole thing with the gut microbiome, because I'm an earth element. Started going into a lot of the large intestines, the small intestines, going into the whole thing with the stomach, and how certain stresses within the body actually prevent the body from producing enough stomach acid, because you're not in a rest and digest stage or state, right? So certain things such as deep breathing actually helps with a lot of that. Uh, Relaxing the body, activating parasympathetic nervous system. So along that line, I started to go into a lot of research in connecting the whole process with the access of certain energetic signatures, certain parts of the ego, what I call egoic filters, that are able to actually access your consciousness through certain lowered states of the body. So, for example, there is this connection. Uh, there's this connection between Saturn, right? Saturn, and then Saturn is linked to Satan, which, so Saturn or Saturn, right? An urn is like a vessel you hold like ashes in. Sat or Saturn. Satan. Satan is also linked to, excuse me, is also linked to, so Saturn is linked to Kronos. Saturn is linked to lead. Even going into the whole process of like the being called Baal, which in ancient mythology is also known as the Lord, right? Or some can see it as being also the lowered. So some people would essentially be worshiping the Lord, those who have been brought below, fallen angels, right? That goes into a whole set of other things, but the link that I want to make to Baal is that Baal also is very close to bowels, right? And in itself, the bowels are, in the realm dynamics of things, would be associated with Hellas or hell, the fire, the eternal fire. Our body has a hearth or a heat in it, right? The colon, because it has such resonance of vibrating on such a certain frequency, it also allows for this hearth, this fire to allow for the purification of the body of certain other chakras within the system. This also, I have noticed, has the ability of actually detaching certain egoic filters from the consciousness. So I have a, let me see, I did some, yeah, the neighbor's cat running around in the in the field. Right. So during my research, I went into a lot of the portals of consciousness, negative mass consciousness energy. So I call them dark portals. So these portals are connected to the egoic consciousness and how certain, I'm going into it. So dark portals. These portals are accessed used by dark beings of the fallen angelic consciousness to possess the human consciousness. If a person fixates on the houses of ego and they succumb to the negative forces, they are easily possessed by that primary thought form. These are the main houses of ego. So one of the houses, Satan or Moloch. So those who may be familiar with a lot of the stuff going on in terms of the hidden realms of Hollywood and stuff like that, they go into a lot of the Moloch stuff, right? So it's anger, wrath, Lucifer, pride, entitlement, Leviathan, envy, jealousy, Baal, liar, corruption, Asmodee, lust, addiction, Beelzebub, Beelzebub, glutton, waste. So this is just an example of certain realms of consciousness or beings, forces that, for example, you move into these types of energetic forces, for example, like fear, right? That in itself brings in access, almost if you could see like a portal access. So you realize, for example, some people feel, if you feel fear, like it's almost like if it like grabs you, like it grips you, and you then go into this whole long like trail of like that, you're just living in that energy. And I, for what, listen, before my whole awakening, and I would have mentioned this yesterday on Galactic Roundtable on check out Linda Light's channel. I would have, yeah, before my awakening, on reflecting on my how my consciousness was back then. I was a very pessimistic type of person. I was very like always thinking of the negative, thinking of worrying about the future and stuff like that. And it, thinking back on it, no, that would have, yeah, that would have essentially been me entertaining those energies, right? That fear, worry, doubt, going into a lot of that. And I've done a lot of work in freeing myself from that consciousness, from those energies, those portals. You could see it. Some people see it as implants. I see in certain levels, or yeah, in certain levels of my own healing and assisting others in a lot of that. So I would have cleared a lot of that maybe like 5 years ago now. I think it is now, yeah. So a lot of that made me realize, even in that introspection or recollection of that, integration on a deeper level of that understanding, that the portals that are accessed, so like anxiety and stuff like that, has a connection to the organ system within the body. If you listen to the word organ, plays tunes, or our organs play tunes, they resonate at a certain frequency, pitch, a vibration. They have their own level of consciousness. This is shown. I'm sure scientists have discovered something about that by now. And you can talk to your organs, your glands. So yeah, let me see. Yeah, so I went into a lot of yeah, so going into like things such as miasma, for example. So miasma is, you can see it as like, it's essentially what they call disease or dis-ease. So it's a solidification of stuck energy, basically crystallizing into, like, for example, like cancer, right? Uh, yeah. So essentially, I want to get into the whole connection with these portals, right? And the gut microbiome diversity, the cleansing of certain organs within the system, within the body, within the vessel, essentially cleaning out the house, and freeing your consciousness from the tethers of the old reality, or the let's call it the matrix, right? So again, I would have mentioned my experience with the colon cleanse in the previous video. I would have mentioned the use of the black walnut, the wormwood clove tincture, right? I will also need to put up, disclaimers about utilizing these things. Is I am not a medical doctor, right? I'm an energy uh, healing facilitator, uh, an ascension an ascension guide. Um, I speak about these things based on my own personal experience. So everyone's experience will be different in this. If you have, I'm a pretty healthy guy. It wasn't too bad when I did my cleanse. So, but if you have very serious health issues, you should discuss it with uh, a medical doctor or um, a homeopathic doctor, right? Just to be on the safe side. But I'm very much into holistic healing, and I have some experience in because I do a lot of experiments on myself, to be honest, in terms of both energy wise and utilizing certain herbs, nootropics, stuff like that. So uh, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, to be honest, because I go on hunches. My higher self, my consciousness tells me, yo, get this, get some Cola, get kelp, get some borax, just a little bit to put in capsules, and try that, and boom, pineal gland on. So that was or at least going through the process of like cleaning out and cleansing out the system through the blood-brain barrier. So stuff like that, right? I just go on hunches and I try them out. I do them. I do some research, make sure that everything's straight. Everything usually is straight, and I give it a go. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna just go through some of the connections of the gut microbiome, some actual research on how the gut microbiome imbalance is actually linking to like certain diseases such as autoimmune. That's a huge one. Autoimmune responses in the system, in the body. The diversity seems to be the actual cause of a lot of these issues within the body, right? It also then too, like CBD oil would be also linked part ways into that too, because our system has an endocannabinoid system that for the most part is missing certain components such as the CBD, right? So again, I would have gone through a lot of these experiments on my own. This spirit consciousness, higher self always kind of aligned me into like getting certain things, even if I wasn't able to get them, whether it be financially or whatever it may be. It always used to align. It always aligned to where I would manage to like get certain things to experiment. And I think that a lot of that occurred for me to actually share this right now with you guys, right? So I'm gonna do my best in sharing my personal experience, what I call the crystalline journey, moving into the crystalline consciousness. So coming out of the artificial consciousness, which is where you see they're moving into now with this matrix 2.0. That's, I mean, they're just trying to show that projection, but it's not gonna it's not gonna materialize the way they want. But my process in it is going about showing and explaining how to actually remove or bring yourself out of that consciousness awareness first, by clearing out a lot of the programs, a lot of the connections that many would have to the dark realm systems, to these dark portals, right? So you move into a light formation, and then those upgrades and shifts, those changes in your consciousness, in your body activations, your body manifestation activations actually high rise and actually shift into a new paradigm. You move out of, again, the artificial system, you move into a more crystalline system, crystalline structure, a Christ, right? So let me just screen share here. All Okay. All right. So let's see. So, okay. So in the first video, I would have explained, I would have shown the example of the gut microbiome and how we have a diverse set of gut bacteria within our system. It's a very complex system. The more research I go into it, they show you how these they show you how these bacteria actually produce enzymes within your system like that. Quick enzymes that your body needs to actually stay in homeostasis. They can produce like that. So so I have here gut bacteria repopulation. So the first thing that I'm just going through the gut microbiome. This is just a quick introduction. I'm gonna do a little more in depth in terms of things that you can use, whether it be supplements, whether it be fermented foods, right? I just want to go through a quick explanation of this, just show you a few examples. Then we're gonna go through some of the herbs. Again, I'll try my best. I'm not, from my experience, I'm gonna share some of the research, right? So, okay. So this is an article, right? NCBI, kind of showing gut bacteria in health and disease, right? So they go through the important homeostatic functions of the gut microbiota, metabolic role, salvages calories, produces short chain fatty acids, produces arginine. A lot of people know arginine. If you hear a lot of these supplements out there like arginine huge when it comes to actually doing a lot for the body. Energy modulation, shifts within the system, allowing for certain, because you see the body is missing a lot of minerals and is missing, so the minerals help with the mitochondria to produce the energy or the light to actually high rise your pixels, high rise your the energy within your system to come out of a diseased state. The body has its own ability, its own natural ability to repair itself. It just needs the minerals, it needs the energy to produce, to do the repairs on its own, right? So we can do this on an energetic level, because everything starts with the mind. Everything is mental. I do a lot of this in my energy healings and stuff like that. This is another process, another path of I call it the path of the body. So it is I would say it's a little more obtainable for those who may be, because it's hard for somebody who's extremely physically sick to actually, go through the mind system. And even though many have done that, have taken that route, right? Okay, so it produces arginine and glutamine. L-glutamine is, from what I remember, L-glutamine is, this connects to the whole thing with sealing up like leaky gut, for example. So the body actually uses it as a component in producing the like muscle fibers, the tissue that produces like muscle fibers and stuff like that, which is also very similar or basically same material that is in the gut, in the intestines. So that actually helps, along with like vitamin C, helps with and collagen, helps with the repairs of the gut. Other herbs such as licorice, marshmallow, and what's the other one? aloe actually works really great as well. Aloe vera gel, right? So it synthesizes vitamin K and folic acid, uh, participates in drug metabolism, right? And also the gut microbiome actually is connected to producing neurotransmitters within the body. This helps with the gut-brain connection, and it also helps with the brain, right? So preventing anything like brain fog, stuff like that, right? Um, So they have here deconjugation of bile acids, prevention of colonization of pathogens. So the microbiome, once in a balanced state, helps. So they're like the reinforcements of the system. They're the police force. They're the galactic federation within the body. They enforce and maintain order within, or balance within the system, hence the homeostatic functions, right? These help with, so there are many links to the microbiome actually, again, modulating and increasing the immunity of the body, right? So um, immunologic effects here, induces regulatory T cells. So it's a normal gut microbiota, an essential factor in health. So they have a whole set of research here. I'm gonna try to remember to put them in the description below. Uh, Okay, so that's one set of information here. So it says to see here, they have inflammatory bowel disease, irritable bowel syndrome, evidence for a role for the gut flora in irritable bowel syndrome. So there's another connection to that. I remember like the gut is the main source of diseases. Uh, Actually, they say the mouth, it starts from the mouth, and most people not chewing properly, or chewing enough. Um, I am also guilty of that. I don't chew my food. Well, I used to not chew my food properly. I used to watch a lot of shows while eating food. Uh, it's not. I mean, it's not the best way to eat food. Um, it's better to kind of be mindful eating. Some people practice, and deep breathing while you eat allows for the system to actually relax so that you can digest your food a lot better. So they show you here all these different endotoxins and SIBO, enhanced release of pro-inflammatory cytokines. Okay, right. So then I started going to some research in gut flora and anxiety, right? So it said gut microbiome communicates with the brain using the vagus nerve. So inflammation can contribute to depression, and gut bacteria can influence inflammation. Research shows that probiotic gut bacteria can alleviate depression and anxiety. Gut microbes have an impact on the production of mood promoting and calming compounds. So that is one set of research, and mind you, I'm using Google, but actually, let's see, DuckDuckGo. Oops, DuckDuckGo. Let's try this out. Gut microbiome, and so they have an immunity, blood type. So I think they show you that the gut microbiome, the diversity actually changes to some degree your blood type, or your blood type determines the type of microbiome you have in your system. And let's go and say dementia. Since it produces neurotransmitters. So check it. They show you, some research here. So this is WebMD. Could gut bacteria be linked to dementia risk? Oops. Right. So yeah. Again, it's a lot of various things that are missing within our system. This is the reason why a lot of the foods actually act as poisons within the system. A lot of GMO foods act as basically antibiotics to decimate the gut microbiome. And you see it here that a lot of scientists realizing now this research here, June 23rd, 2020, right? They're realizing that the gut microbiome is more important than, I mean, for those who know, they know, right? But I'm sure they knew about this for a while. Hence the whole thing with the glyphosate, and even the vaccines actually decimate a lot of children's gut microbiome. So then there's a process of repopulation of the gut microbiome, which I'm gonna go into after I go through the whole thing with the herbs and the toxin system. So stop share. Okay. Right. So yes. That is kind of showing like the whole thing with the portals. Yes.